was on Friday night when they were without Victor Wembanyama and they were behind. They had a big second half in that game. And Wembanyama came back in this one, had 27 and 12. And then...
and 7 blocks and 4 steals.
You say that, Brian, but they were down 15 in the third quarter of Game 3, and they were down 17 at the half of Game 4.
They were down 19 at one point today.
Yeah, I mean, Portland had 2 chances to really make this a series. And
that's true. The second half, Portland only scored 35 points.
The second half was Wemby block, Wemby dunk. Wemby block, Wemby dunk. And by the way, the second half of Game 3 was Dylan Harper domination, just completely taking over the game as a rookie.
Let me come clean here. I didn't see 1 second of this game because the airline that I flew today is Wi-Fi.
So first Window had to watch Cavs corner implode, and then he was mad. Then he got on the plane. Then he was even more mad because he didn't have Wi-Fi to watch his discovery. Come back and play.
Not the Wi-Fi.
What a terrible afternoon.
Let me tell you, Wemby was incredible.
Sluggish. There was no Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi?
And this particular aircraft, I know this aircraft because I've been flying to LA every week for months on end.
It's another discovery, man. Discovered the aircraft.
I did. And you know how I know? Because it's the janky aircraft because they have it has a different color nose cone. Like they got some nose cone from another airline, didn't even paint it, slapped it on.
Oh no!
That the front of it, and I've flown
that
on that
plane
like
a bigger problem
times.
than the Wi-Fi not working.
The plane has safely transported me.
Are there not trains
times.
Or something? This doesn't sound great.
I am just telling you that. Look, all I'm going to say is this:
I'm just
I was supposed to fly a different
Windows personal
in the second half.
It's Windows' personal private jet back and forth from Omaha.
Actually,
to LA.
Wemby just put on
he knows it down.
He was flying in the second half.
I was supposed to fly a different airline today that was going to connect because the other airline was sold out. And then at the last moment, a seat opened up and I switched. And if I had done the other airline, I could have watched the game live on television without need of Wi-Fi. No.
Could have watched his discovery. Maybe the Cavs would have won. His whole day would have been different.
Did you sit in first class? Did you sit in first class?
What do you think? He sat in coach?
Grey Poupon?
Come on.
It was wonderful with no Wi-Fi. It's great.
Well, you missed a hell of a Wemby performance. I hope you've gotten Wi-Fi since and seen his post-game comments where he basically blasted.
I did.
And look, man, like the Spurs and Wemby were upset he wasn't cleared for Game 3. He made a point to come out and do his regular pregame routine before Game 3. But hey, I'm healthy. Sat on the bench, very enthusiastically cheered his team on. And then he criticized the concussion protocol. But the concussion protocol is designed to protect guys against, from themselves, basically.
I have no problem with someone having to sit out an extra day or two to make sure that their head is all right after a concussion, particularly after that fall, which looked extraordinarily nasty. I'm just glad Victor's all right.
Well, let me say 2 things about the Spurs. And again, I know that we are 4 games in. The Spurs have the number 1 defense in the playoffs so far. And the Spurs are shooting 42% as a team from 3. This is what we talked about going into this. They were really hot down the stretch of the season. They were bottom 10 the first 50. I can't remember where I looked at it, but I think it was the All-Star break. I think before the break, they were 22nd, something like that. And then after the break, they were top 6.
And Castle really shot it well after the break. He shot it well today from 3.
First off, Castle, the last thing that I saw before the Wi-Fi went out was him leaving the court because of a hand injury. And the way he reacted, I thought, oh, crap. But he was okay and then got teed up at the end of the game. I did see that.
Yeah, got into it with Denny Abdia.
Yes, he put the ball right in Abdia's chest.
Hey, here's the ball that I just scored with. Would you like to feel it in your chest? And Denny Abdia did not like that.
Well, look, at this point, with the way things have broken, I mean, we'll see if Minnesota gets through or not. But again, even if they play Denver, I don't think Denver is going to have the juice to give the Spurs much of a series, pretty much no matter what at this point. So, this is really going to come down to will the Spurs... I
think I'm going to stop you right there and try to protect you from yourself. And I'm not.
I'm done with... I don't... Look, if I'm wrong because Denver completely flips their season around and immediately starts playing amazingly again, okay, fine. But
I just want to point out that they They just won
I
13
don't
in a row
care.
or whatever.
There's no evidence right now that they have any juice. And the only reason
The evidence is that they got a 3-time MVP in
one of those 13 wins was a classic overtime game where Joker got the best of Wemby. Just
I agree. I was watching the game. It was a great game. I'm saying that team right now does not exist.
Leave yourself wiggle room, says the guy who sent the Magic to Cancun 10 days ago.
I also, earlier in this podcast, said Denver's realistic championship hopes are over. But hey, what the hell?
If I see evidence that things have magically changed for Denver, I will say that. But look, at this point, it seems like this is going to come down to, will the Spurs be able to make shots in a 7-game series against the Thunder? That's what it'll be. So, we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks.
The other thing is, after having an unbelievable start to his playoff career, Scoot Henderson crashed back to earth, and he was 0 of 7 today.
Yeah, little scoreless Scoot.
Yeah, he's
also, by the way, we predicted that this was going to be a really tough series for Donovan McClingan, which not exactly great analysis there. Wemby's a pretty tough matchup for a big man. He played 14 minutes today.
And Robert Williams has played well in this series. It's been good to see him healthy. And like I said, obviously Stats Williams was the only guy on the planet who picked Portland to win the series, but Portland had chances in both these games to make this really interesting, especially without Victor in game 3. And they got to be kicking themselves after having double-digit leads in the second half of both these games and then just coughing them both up.
Here's the problem, though. This cheap-ass new owner told them they got to check out by the end of the third quarter in these home games.
Yeah, 73-35 in the second half today. But, that's what happens against the top seeds. They tend to, as the games go on, the series go on, they tend to win out.
According to our ESPN research folks, I'm looking up the number, it was at least the most lopsided second half of a playoff game since, do you remember when the Warriors outscored the Rockets by 39 to end their season?
Oh my
and to
God,
end Chris
yes,
Paul's
we were
tenure
there.
in Houston? That's when Steph was scoreless at the half and had 33 in the second half. And Wendy, you were there right outside the visiting locker room, and you saw one hell of a Warriors celebration.
God. I mean, they were coming down the hallway. I mean, this is a team that had at that point won 3 titles, right?
And actually, I found that this is a Stats Williams special, so you know it's right.
Okay,
they'd won the last 2 in a row.
Yeah, so he said it's that plus 38 for the Spurs. That's the second largest point differential in the second half of a playoff game in NBA history. Warriors 64, Rockets 25 in the second half of Game 6 of the 18 conference finals. Plus 39 is the biggest.
So it was 18. I thought it was 19.
Yeah, 18. Because I said, it was the year after a hamstring away.
Okay, well, I just remember that the Warriors players winning the second round. By the way, not the finals, not the conference finals, not the finals. Winning the second round on their way to their 4th out of 5 straight finals.
5th straight.
Yeah, that was their 5th straight. Remember, KD hurt his calf during this series. KD wasn't playing in that game.
No, in 2018 it would have been their 4th straight. 2019.
This game you guys are talking about, I'm pretty certain was the 2019 conference semifinals.
That's what I think was 19.
Not the 2018 conference finals.
I think it was 2019.
There was a typo in our thing.
That's right.
I read out straight off the damn thing.
Game 6 in 2019 after Kevin was hurt, on their way to losing to the Raptors in the finals.
Yes, and they were saying, bleep Chris Paul as they were going into the locker room.
And then they welcomed him with open arms as their teammates a few years later.
And then
several years later.
We waited until 1 a.m. for James Harden to come out and talk. The arena was practically empty.
Yes.
And then Harden said at about 1 a.m., don't worry, I know what needs to be done.
Yes.
Which was to trade Chris Paul.
And by the way, that didn't help. In hindsight, that did not solve anything.
Yeah. Well, if the Cavs scored 25 in the second half today, they might have won. I don't even know if they did. No, they did. I'm just okay. In the nightcap, which was hardly exciting, all of LA, I'm in LA, all of LA was ready to explode into